Hello! Welcome to the Excel tutorial for the Woodland lab in ENVS 200 Field Ecology. Let's get started. First, type out each unique species found in your plot based on the chart. You will then use the shade tolerance chart found in the Woodland PowerPoint to fill out column F. Now we're going to count how many of each species we have. To do this, type the equals symbol into the cell in the same row as the species you are counting. Then type COUNTIF, and you can select the function from the drop-down menu. Select the range of the tree species you want to count by clicking on the first tree in the list, typing a colon, and then selecting the last tree in your list. Then to finish the function, you will be adding a comma, and then selecting the tree species you would like to count. In this case, we are counting sugar maple. So we'll scroll down until we see sugar maple, and then we will add a closing bracket into our function and press enter, and our species will have been counted. We will now repeat the same function to count the next tree. So equals COUNTIF, and then select the same range of tree species we just did previously. And when you scroll down within your sheet, you will notice that you can still type into the function cell at the top. You can see what you're typing here. And so for the second part of the function, we will select trembling aspen instead of sugar maple. Make sure to adjust the count to not include any dead trees. To calculate the total number of trees, you will type equals sum, and then within the bracket you can drag your mouse down through each species count to select the range, close the bracket, and press enter. Moving on to species richness, you'll add up the number of unique species in your plot. In this case, there are 9. Type the number into the corresponding cell. Now we will be doing a few different equations to help us calculate the Shannon diversity value of our plot. First is the proportion. Type equals, select the total count of the corresponding species, type a slash, which means divide, then select the total count of all species. Add a $sign before and after the G to cement that cell in our equation. Then press enter. We will now use the small square on the bottom right corner of the cell to drag the function so it can apply to all of our species without having to type it out each time. The $signs ensure the total count stays the same for each species calculation, while the first cell changes to correspond with the row for a new species. Now we'll calculate the natural log of the proportion. Type equals, then ln for natural log, and select the proportion cell for the species. Close the bracket and press enter. Yet again, we will use the small square in the bottom right corner of the cell to drag our function down to apply to the other species. For step 3, we will be multiplying the values from step 1 and step 2. Type equals, then select the proportion value, type an asterisk for multiply, then select the natural log value and press enter. Once again, we will drag our function down to apply to the other cells. To calculate Shannon diversity, type equals sum, then select the range of values from the step 3 column, close the bracket, and then multiply by -1. For species evenness, type equals, select the Shannon diversity value, type slash for divide, then use the natural log function by typing ln, select the species richness value, close the bracket, and press enter. Now we are going to use our plot data to sort every tree into a DBH size class. In this example, the data is based on the whole forest and does not match up with the dataset used in the previous calculations. If it did, we would have only one American basswood at a DBH of 14. So we would type a 1 under the column 10 to 19.9, then type a 0 into the rest of the columns for that species. Once you have done that for every tree, you will use the sum function to calculate the total number of trees in your plot. The chart below will be used for converting the size class counts into percentages. Select the first cell under the first size class, type equals, select the corresponding cell from the first chart, type slash for divide, select the total count of trees, add in the dollar signs before and after the I, type an asterisk for multiply, and then type 100 and press enter. You can now drag the equation across all rows and then down into all of the columns. We are now going to be creating a stacked bar chart to visualize our data. To do this in Excel, select the entire percentages chart including species and size classes, go into the Insert tab at the top of the sheet, navigate to the middle section for charts, select the bar graph icon, then the second option for a stacked column chart. It will automatically generate a chart in this style based on the information we previously selected. The Chart Design tab will now automatically open, and we will select the button Switch Row/Column. This makes it so that the stacked bars are organized by size class instead of by species. Now we will work on formatting the chart. To start, under the Chart Design tab, select Add Chart Element, then Axis Titles, then Primary Horizontal, and repeat those steps to also add a primary vertical title. Make sure to edit the titles to describe what each axis is showing. Also in the Add Chart Element section, we will go into Chart Title and select None. You will be using a figure caption instead of a title when you add the chart into the assignment document. You can double-click on the legend or the axes and adjust the font size and color under the Home tab. A more precise formatting menu will appear to the right as well, which you can play around with until you have a chart that you like. You can also look at the options under the Format tab at the top of the sheet. This concludes the end of the tutorial. Thank you for watching.